All right, how's it going, everybody? Jason here with Red State Relocate. I know it's been a few weeks since I posted a video. I haven't been online recently. Unfortunately, I was down with COVID. I'd gotten me a little bit of case of the COVID a few weeks back. Thankfully, it was a very mild case. Treated it, all good. And but even a mild case of COVID can still leave you feeling kind of a little bit sluggish, a little bit tired, some headaches, some brain fog, that kind of stuff. But praise God, upstairs I'm okay, and I'm recovered, and I'm actually back to work this week. So that's why I want to make this video. And the video, like I said, this couldn't come at a better time, especially since the recall election was last night, and today's the day after. And I wanted to talk about it. Wanted to actually get this video out a little sooner, so my apologies for it being so late. But was actually on the phone, had some pretty interesting conversations this morning with some pretty fun people about Red State Relocate. So it's I'm happy to make this video late. But hey, look, first things first about this recall. I know a lot of people might be discouraged. I'm going to say this: do not be discouraged. The Republican Party, the conservative movement in California, this was a big win. Okay, I'm going to say this right now. This was a very big win for anybody in California that is of a conservative mind. We were able to run a recall election against the golden boy, right? Let's face it. Gavin Newsom is the golden boy Democrat, and he was put on notice for the last handful of months, and it really benefited Californians to a great degree. And I'll kind of get into that a little bit as I kind of run through my notes here. But the main thing I want to say is just don't be discouraged. Look, Larry Elder winning this election was a long shot. Okay, and anybody that follows California politics knows that the California Democrats, who have a supermajority in the state, who run our election balloting, okay, they were not going to allow their golden boy to lose. Okay, not to anybody, not a radio host, not to anybody. And so the fact that he won was not a shock. I just want to say this. I just want to make this point that here's some of the good things that happened with this recall election. So even though, like I say, even though Larry Elder may not have hit a home run, we definitely got a base hit. Okay, let's face it. We got a base hit. Larry Elder is now a national name, a national figure, and I think a great representative for the Republican Party moving forward. I hope he continues to push his political future, and I hope Republicans continue to back him. I think he's a great guy. And here's a point that I really want to make about why we should celebrate the recall election regardless of the results. Let's think about this. During this past summer, this recall really forced Gavin Newsom to really moderate himself. Now, we know he is a far left progressive, and he is run by these special interests. And I don't mean to say special interests like they're this dark force behind the scenes. Like, we know who the special interests are. And the big one is the teachers union. Okay. And he's run by these groups who donated heavily to him. But even with that said, he had to moderate himself. And so think about this. If it was not for the recall, your kids may not be in school right now, right? Because he was forced to have to kind of play along and say, you know what, maybe we're going to get these kids in school. Your business that is open right now may have been shut down, okay, if it was not for this recall. So again, something to celebrate, that the recall forced Gavin Newsom to not shut down a lot of businesses. It forced him to have to kind of moderate himself, to let the kids go back to school, even if they're going to be wearing masks or whatnot. But he was not going to continue a lot of this lockdown, hiding in your home kind of policies that he had before. So he had to kind of start to play the game a little bit. And that's good. Look at how it benefited California, right? Your kids are in school. Your business might be open. The cafe that might be closed if it wasn't for this recall is open right now, and you're making money and you're paying your employees. But here's the big thing, and this is something that I think I don't hear a lot talked about, but I think it cannot be overlooked, is that in years past, anybody that's lived in California knows that in years past, every summer, our power goes out, right? As soon as it gets hot, boom, they're shutting the power off. And it's been a scandal in this state for years, because every time it gets hot, you want to run your air conditioner. Guess what? Your power gets shut off. And it's crazy that can even be thought of to be allowed in California, but they're pushing this green energy stuff, this green New Deal stuff on California. And the wind power and the solar, it's just not enough to feed the grid. And so every summer there's just not enough power and they shut us down. Well, guess what? Because of the recall, what did Gavin Newsom do? Gavin Newsom, for the first time in many years, allowed PG&E to burn natural gas in order to keep the grid going. Okay. He allowed that. He signed an executive order that said PG&E, because, PG&E is a private company, right? But he allowed them to burn natural gas, where in the past they were not allowed to do that. So they upped their natural gas production. And guess what? Guess what happened this summer? Californians realized this. Your power did not get shut off. Why? Because Gavin Newsom was under recall and he was not going to allow power to be shut off while he was under a recall election. So again, even though Larry Elder may not have won, the Californian people, the people of this state, we benefited greatly from this because our kids are in school, businesses are open more than they normally would have been, and our power grid stayed alive because Gavin Newsom didn't want to lose his job. All right, so those are things to celebrate, and I'm going to kind of get into some of the things Republicans could have done better, but don't overlook that. Don't be depressed today or in the future because Gavin Newsom won. We knew he was going to win. It was no doubt. Democrats were not going to allow him to lose. But we still won because the conservative people in California made their voice heard and they forced Gavin Newsom to moderate himself, and it benefited Californians greatly. So that's kind of all I want to state there. The part that I think is going to maybe be not so good, okay, moving forward is, now that Gavin Newsom has won this reelection, he is fully emboldened and he is powered now. And he is of the far left progressive kind of movement where, given power, how do I say this? I'm not hopeful, okay, that he is going to use the power nicely. I truly believe now, and this is something just for Californians, keep an eye on. Really watch this, but I really think he's going to bring punishment now, especially to the counties that voted against him, to the Californians that voted against him. All those things that I talked about, the fact that our kids are in school, our businesses aren't locked down. Unfortunately, I think a lot of that's going to change. I remember when I talked about how the California's Teachers Union was the number one donor, right, to his recall. Well, now that he's won the recall, guess who he owes? Okay, and guess who he owes big? He owes the California Teacher Association and the union. And so we know, right? We know this from the past that they don't want to teach. They do not want to be in school, right? These teachers that we pay all this money to, the teachers in California are the highest paid teachers in the country, okay? And they don't want to teach. They don't want to be in school teaching your kids. They'd much rather just do it part-time online, and even they complain about that. But the teachers union doesn't want your kids in school. Gavin Newsom owes them big. So unfortunately, like I said, I hope this doesn't happen, but just keep your eye on things that Gavin Newsom's now going to start maybe pulling these kids back out of school, looking for reasons, especially with, saying there's going to be a spike in coronavirus cases. They're going to use that as excuses to bring your kids out of school. And again, they're going to use case counts, not death counts or anything, but they're going to use the case counts to justify locking down more businesses now. And especially, and I hope this doesn't happen, but especially businesses in these counties that voted against him, that Larry Elder actually won a huge portion. Here's the map right here behind me. I'll post it, but Larry Elder did a fantastic job in many, many counties across this state. Unfortunately, there's just too much population in the cities, the Bay Area and LA, to overcome that. But Larry Elder did great in a lot of counties. And sadly, I think, the progressive, what I call the progressive tyrant left, they're going to take it out on them now. And that's too bad. We're looking at, right, mask mandates, vaccine mandates, all these things are probably going to come. I would not be surprised if Gavin Newsom starts to restrict travel to some of these red states, right? Saying you're punished. You can't go to these red states now because they're having an increase in cases. And like I said, he's emboldened, he's empowered. There's nothing stopping him now. He won by a large margin. And I think he's going to bring the pain, unfortunately. And yeah, maybe more lockdowns, right? Not only lockdowns on businesses, but maybe he's going to start locking people down. If you don't have the vaccine, hey, you're just going to have to stay home. And these are the kinds of things that, like I said, unfortunately, I think may be coming. The big thing that I think he may do, unfortunately, and this is not unprecedented because Joe Biden is proposing the same thing as of yesterday, I believe it was, is that they're going to start proposing that states that are getting the Regeneron, the monoclonal antibodies, which thankfully I was able to get. Okay, when I had COVID, again, I didn't have a very bad case of it, but they gave me the monoclonal antibodies and it knocked coronavirus right out of me. Next day, bang, it was gone. I had a little bit of a headache, but it works. Okay, and so because of that, Joe Biden is. Let me rephrase. Because the monoclonal antibodies are so effective and they really do work well, Joe Biden has now proposed that a lot of these southern states that are where they're not getting the vaccine, well, he's going to start restricting those antibodies to those states in order to force people to get the vaccine. And man, that is scary. I'm sorry, but if you have a therapeutic treatment that can help people, whether they're vaccinated or not, and you start restricting distribution to those states just because you want to punish them, man, that is really, really scary. And the point I'm trying to make with that is that I think it's not going to be out of the ordinary. I'll say it's not going to be a shock if Gavin Newsom does the same thing in California. A lot of these counties right here, right? A lot of these counties that voted against Gavin Newsom, and if they start getting spikes in coronavirus, it's not going to be a shock if he starts to restrict the monoclonal antibody treatments to those counties, just as punishment. Like I said, I hope it doesn't happen. I really hope it doesn't happen, but there is nothing in the past that Democrats have ever done that has shown that that's not what they're capable of doing and it's not what they want to do. They want to bring the pain. And that's, like I said, I think conservatives and Republicans, we won a big victory in getting the recall and forcing Gavin to moderate himself. We kept the power on this summer. But unfortunately, like I said, I think on the flip side, I think now Gavin's going to bring the pain. And if he can bring the pain in terms of vax mandates and lockdowns and restricting therapeutic treatments to the counties and the people that voted against him, I'm just going to say I'm not out of bounds here with thinking that it's possible. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. It's a reason why Red State Relocate exists, right? This is why people are leaving this state in droves. 500,000 people leave California every year. And this is why, this is why. So that's all I wanted to share. I just want to talk about that. I know there's a little bit of good, a little bit of bad, but I just wanted to kind of share my thoughts on the recall, encourage you a little bit. But also, like I said, I know I talked about some things that are not so good, but just keep your eye on them and voice up, make your voice heard. If you start to see these things happen, in your towns, in your counties, and at least you can say, hey, you know what? I heard that before. I've heard this might happen. And sure enough, there it is. My kids are being pulled out of school. My businesses are being locked down. And so anyways, a great job to Larry Elder. Great job to the California Republican Party, to the conservative people out there. This was a great win. This was a great recall. I had a lot of fun with it. It was the first time I actually got politically involved, first time in my life. And so anyways, thanks everybody, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care now. Bye-bye.